Hi guys, welcome back to another Hugh Jeffreys video. In this video, I'll be fixing up my most beaten up tech product, my Beats EP headphones. I take good care of my things, but headphones just always seem to break on me. But in fairness, they do see a massive amount of use. I've already attempted some patches to keep them going, like trying to glue the headphone earpieces back on, or gluing the cover back onto the volume controls. But the broken headphone jack took the tune out of these headphones for good. Or did it? At $140, these hardwired headphones are not cheaply replaced, but repairing them will be cheap and easy if you know how to solder. There are two approaches that can be undertaken: replacing just the plug or replacing the whole wire. I'd already cut the end so I could replace the jack, but with the volume buttons coming apart further up the wire, I thought it wouldn't be long before that section of wire gave out. Additionally, finding a quality replacement jack is harder than it should be. Poorly made ones won't fit right or be hard to remove. But by using a manufactured cable, the result will likely be much stronger, but its installation will be slightly more involved. I have done this exact same repair on another pair of Beats EP headphones that I purchased for $5 on eBay, so it can be a great way to get some decent headphones on the cheap. But one thing I learnt was not to skimp out on the cable length. 1 meter isn't long enough, so I'll be installing a 1.5 meter cable on this set of headphones. I'll need to open up the left side to access the headphone wire. To do this, I'll have to pry the adhered ear pads off. Some headphone models use clips instead, but mine wasn't going to be that easy. Once we've pried the ear pad off, you can see it'll need a good clean if we're going to reuse it. But with it out of the way, we can now access the 4 Phillips screws holding the driver in place. Once unfastened, we can lift it out, being mindful of the cables attaching to it. Of the 6 wires, 4 attach to the incoming headphone cable. Green is left, red is right, and the copper wires are ground. As for the 2 remaining wires, they link to the right speaker on the other side of the headphones. I'll need to remove the old headphone wire. As it's crimped in, the only way to get it out is to cut it. To give the new cable a factory look, I'll also harvest the grommet from the old wire. This step is only cosmetic and not strictly necessary. To retrieve the grommet, I first need to remove the old wire that's been crimped into place. This part acts as the cable retaining mechanism, making sure the cable doesn't pull out of the headphone housing. After some cutting and prying, I managed to free the rubber piece I was after. Now it's time to fire up the soldering iron to remove the remainder of the cable we just cut off. You don't need a microscope to do this, as these points are visible to the eye, but it does make it easier for you to see. What I first thought was flux residue over the solder joints turned out to be some kind of non-conductive coating. One challenge while soldering was trying to keep the tip where I wanted it. The magnet in the speaker kept throwing me off. Once all 4 wires are removed, I can clean off the pads and remove the goop that was on top of them. For the replacement cable, I'll be using this one I already had. It's a 3 meter extension cable that I'll cut in half. I can then proceed to strip about 20 mil off the outer sheathing. Inside this particular cable, there are 2 wires and many strands of copper wire. The bare wire is used as a ground, so all the strands can be twisted together. The other 2 cables will be the left and right channel. I'll feed the new wire inside the headphone earpiece and install the grommet I took from the old wire. To ensure the audio channels are on the correct side, I'll use a multimeter to check resistance between the plug and each wire. Left is white, right is red, and ground is of course the bare copper. Now that all the wires have been identified, it's time to get them soldered in place. To do this, I'll tin each wire first so that it's easier to solder once it's aligned with the appropriate pad. As you might recall, the old cable had 4 total wires, 2 of which were for ground. For the new cable, I'll just bridge those pads using the 1 ground wire we have. If you're just replacing the jack, the procedure would be similar, just at the other end. If your headset has volume controls or a microphone, you'll need the 3-prong version if you want to retain that functionality. Be sure to look up your headphone's wiring diagram before doing this yourself so you know what each color wire does. And if you're replacing just the jack, don't forget to put the sleeve on first before you solder everything. I've forgotten it so many times and had to unsolder everything just so I can put it on. But once we've done the necessary soldering, it's time for a test. Make sure that sound is coming out of both speakers and that the left and right channels are the right way round. You can do this by setting your device output to one side at a time, or listening to me whisper into your left and right ear. With our headphones correctly working, it's time to hot glue in the cable to give it some extra rigidity, as well as apply a little bit of hot glue to our solder joints to prevent anything from shorting out. Afterwards, we can close up the headset and screw everything back together. All that's left to do is reattach the earpiece. New ones can be purchased for around $15, but I'm going to just make mine look a little bit more presentable. This is because I've worn the foam soft. My other Beats headphones become painful to wear after several hours, as I believe the pads are just too stiff. I know they're not going to look as good, but I'm going with function over form. After all the old glue is removed, I'll attempt to reattach the outer fabric. I know several people that have the same issue. The fabric just seems to come off with regular use. My tape adhesive didn't hold it in place at all, so I resorted to more hot glue. At first, reattaching it to the back like it was originally, but this made the ear pad too thick, so it wouldn't reattach properly to the headphone. In the end, I used hot glue around the edges, making sure the fabric was overhanging the edge to hide the white plastic beneath. Proceeding, the residual adhesive can be removed from both pieces. Now is also a really good time to clean up the ear pads, which have become quite grimy. While I was at it, I'll also fix the fabric. Again, my tape adhesive didn't stick at all, so it was back to the hot glue gun. Given the size of the gun and properties of the glue, the result isn't as clean as I'd like, but it'll have to do. With some adhesive applied, the pad can now be installed, making sure the alignment pins are positioned with the corresponding holes on the foam pad. After pressing the foam pad down into place, we're done. So this is it, the cheapest repair I've done in a long time, costing me $0 as I already had what I needed lying around. This is a simple repair that almost anyone who owns a soldering iron can do, keeping your old headphones going and out of the waste. And on that note, this has been a Hugh Jeffreys video. If you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button and consider checking out the electronics repair playlist for more videos just like this one. And if you're looking for any used devices, be sure to check out my online store, link for which is down in the description. That's all for this video, and I'll catch you guys next time.